The oceans are one of Earth's greatest gifts to humans. Beautiful and valuable ecosystem teeming with the life that provide everything from fresh food to careers for the millions. These seas that we are so dependent on may seem perfectly healthy, but not everything is as it appears. The oceans are like slowly feathering flower that has been beaten down over the years and is now shedding its last petals. If something is not done soon to fix the mess that humanity has made, then it will be too late to save some of the irreplaceable species that make our life easier each and every day. The health of the ocean and marine life are so often taken for granted. And due to our increasing numbers and wasteful practices, the ocean appears to be as vulnerable to harm by human activities as any other environmental world. Keeping in mind the forgotten half of the planet, IUCN, the International Union of Conservation of Nature, works to ensure that the coastal, marine and polar ecosystem are restored and maintained, and any use of their resources is sustainable and equitable. For a similar cause, the IUCN, joining hands with Arctic Youth Network, Ocean Working Groups, and Pew Charitable Trust, has organized a global youth summit to empower youth and encourage them in high seas governance. Arctic Youth Network is a youth-led platform for young people across the world to discuss and collaborate on ocean governance. Here in this global summit by IUCN, the discussion was mainly focused on educating and empowering youth towards the forgotten half of the planet, that is the high seas. This discussion was led by Diva Emma, a marine biologist who has worked extensively on deep seas. It also touched various global initiatives and the ongoing negotiation at the United Nations towards the High Seas Treaty. It is a treaty that will govern, manage and protect the majority of oceans. One of the speakers from the panel, Nicola Clark, explained at length about the High Seas Treaty and why it matters so much.
I'll start out with a very brief reminder of why we need a High Seas Treaty in the first place. The core issue, the problem as it were, is that there are several critical governance gaps on the high seas. It's a fragmented puzzle of organizations that manage different aspects of human activities in different areas on the high seas with varying degrees of effectiveness, and they don't do a great job of coordinating with each other. And in this messy patchwork approach to high seas governance, key things have slipped through the gaps. Namely, there's no legal mechanism to establish comprehensive marine protected areas on the high seas, and there's also no global obligation to conduct environmental impact assessments for activities that are taking place there. And this problem on the high seas is magnified by their vast scale. The high seas make up 2/3 of the ocean and cover almost half of the planet's surface. So on this map to the right, all of those areas in dark blue space are the high seas. And of course, high seas ecosystems are inextricably linked to those in coastal waters. So the stakes really are high for the High Seas Treaty. It will impact most of the ocean, its life, and by extension, the services a healthy ocean ecosystem provides.
After thoroughly giving a brief introduction about what is High Seas Treaty and why it is important, Nicola clarified that how this treaty is different from BBNJ Treaty. BBNJ, Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, is for the 61% of the ocean that lies in areas beyond national jurisdiction, and the development of a new international agreement for the conservation and sustainable use of those biodiversities.
BBNJ Treaty, and BBNJ stands for Marine Biological Diversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, BBNJ. And the BBNJ Treaty's core objective is the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction. But it's also charged with considering a package of issues: marine genetic resources, area-based management tools, including marine protected areas, environmental impact assessments, and capacity building and the transfer of marine technology.
The session closely covered major problems of the forgotten part of the planet and pointed out ways to connect with our natural resources again. Oceans and seas are an integral part of our biodiversity and ecosystem, and hence it is our responsibility to conserve and utilize it judiciously.